I'll just keep talking while people trickle in for a little while or trickle out, as the case may be. As I said this morning, we have a more diverse mix of presentations this afternoon. We're going to start off with Malcolm. And you may have noticed that Malcolm occasionally has an opinion. But not only that, he actually developed a passion to care about how opinions were expressed, which seemed like a worthwhile thing to care about. So he wanted to do something about it and help us all to up our game. So he did a really unique senior research project where he invited us all to partake in a series of debates and panels, and I'll let him explain all the gist of it. But it was a very creative effort that he led us in, and it really blessed us, those who were a part. I was at the last two, and did a great job of guiding us through the controversies of abortion and through the ignorance of our and knowledge about energy future. He helped clear away some of that ignorance, is what I meant to say. So anyway, Malcolm, come on up and share with us.
So, I just got informed today that my time got cut down. Whether that was my fault or not, we're not here to discuss that. We're done debating. Yeah, so this kind of all started out as I was very guilty of saying loud opinions and people being like, shut up. So I wanted to start a debate club in my final semester, and then I realized I didn't have the time or energy for that. And then Lois was like, hey, just make it a senior research project and try and make it, into this big academic thing. So I tried to do that, as you can tell. So yeah, I just want to start with thanking a couple people for helping me get through all this. All the faculty here at SSU have been really supportive of it, whether through critiquing or offering course credit to students that are involved in what I was doing. Lois and Kendall and Walter and many, many other people that have listened to me rant. So yeah, where this comes from for me was I just noticed that we have a lot of division in our community, and we're a really intentional community, so obviously that's going to happen. And we had a lot of conversations, but I wanted to see if we can kind of tear down some of our ignorance and our division, whether that's like religious or moral beliefs or whatever it can be. We have a lot of division. So yeah, this was just one method for me to try and see if giving people a place to argue and listen, which was a huge part of this too, was having time for people to listen and stop talking, which I found is really helpful in my experience in learning. So yeah, so that was where the idea for panels and debates came from. So we did two debates, one on the legalization of marijuana, and that was interesting. A lot of fun, good turnout, had a lot of engagement with the public, with our audience. And then the abortion debate had about 50 people in here. And we live streamed it, and that was fun, and people from away that were alumni had a lot of fun with it, and people engaging. It was great. I hope there were some conversations that came out of that, which is the end goal of all this. And then I hosted a panel last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, and that was also a great turnout. We had a nice small crowd where we could engage with panelists, and yeah, we were just talking, essentially trying to get this community to a place where we can have conversations and talk about controversial issues, and I'm going to keep tabs on my time. So yeah,
It's just like keeps dropping.
I can stand back there, I don't stand up here. Doesn't matter. Yeah, so where to go with all of this? I made a bunch of notes, and then I found out I can't use them all. Yeah, let's talk about healing. So one aspect that's kind of drawn me into all this is I met with Canadeo Shaw. He's someone that's come into this community more recently, and I started talking with him about conflict, and he's been a part of a lot of incredible things, and really talked to him. He's a great guy. But we were just talking about conflict in regards to the Oka crisis in 1990, and how everybody that's involved in something is damaged and needs to be heard but also needs to listen, and how being informed fully about a situation can really help. So that's kind of been shaping my last year here, but also has been shaping this project for me, and trying to get people who think they know a lot or do know a lot, or people that don't know a lot, to come and all sit down and have one area to have a conversation about it, and then that can filter out to have other high quality conversations afterwards. And like that can carry on further into years even of great conversations. So yeah. This is going really well. Sure, let's talk about this. Yeah, this is really good. So live streaming. This was something that was a big conversation in all this. I wanted to make it accessible for alumni, was a big part of it for me, because we are a community that tries to reach out to past people and future people. So I wanted to live stream to the world to get us on the map and be like, hey, we actually have academic conversations. We're not just a cult or some crazy religious school somewhere. And yes, I have my theories. And you're welcome. Anyways, so I wanted to live stream it to the world, and we decided not to, just to respect the privacy and the opinions of the community. But live streaming it to our Facebook page was really great, because we were able to reach out to alumni, and we were able to reach out to students that were away. I think that if it was the appropriate topic, we could live stream it to the world, and that wouldn't hurt recruiting or whatever. Like, we almost had David Kuhn down for the energy panel, and I think if we had live streamed that, we could have potentially put ourselves out there more, which I think is something to consider. I guess, yeah, this is actually great. This goes well. So what do after you've heard me ramble for the last 10 minutes, what do I want to see? What would I love to see, I guess, as the future of any of this is, I hope that somebody takes this on after me in the fall, and I hope that somebody makes this their research project and does exactly what I did, because I'm awesome. No, they take it and take their own spin on it and just keep trying to push for students to be able to get academic credit for having big discussions and talking about abortion and talking about whatever issues are relevant at our time, whether it's politics or, should we be bombing places or whatever. Like, let's have those conversations. We need to have them, because that's just really important to keeping us together. Otherwise, we'll drift apart and we'll have a terrible time. So, yeah. Let's do questions, because I don't know how this goes. Or not. No questions.
What was your biggest surprise in doing all this?
My biggest surprise, it wasn't that people wouldn't come out, because I know how hard it is to actually get people to do things in this community. It was, I think my biggest surprise was a really happy surprise in just seeing how people can surprise you. There's a lot of, like, I think people get labeled a lot, and I'm like, a lot of this comes out of, like, I'm very guilty of being like, oh, this person, that's their beliefs. But this project really gave me the chance to sit down with people, and I put like 20 hours within meeting with like 6 people about abortion. And we were just like dissected all of our views and everything about that. And I learned so much about other people and why they think the way they do, and how I can respect them and how they can respect me, and how we actually like can move forward, and like what that actually looks like. If that answers any of your questions. But.
One of the things that surprised me was that in the 2 that I attended, in spite of the amount of passion that there might be in some of those subjects of conversation, the end result of the conversation in the room felt somewhat harmonizing. Like it felt like there was actually an open door to how the different sides could learn from each other and find common ground to find solutions. And I wondered, I don't know if that just surprised you, or did you find ways that you helped make that happen? Like, what helped that to be the outcome? Because that's not always the outcome after debate.
Well, with abortion, we we're very, the resolution was abortion is a woman's right. So like, I make a statement and then people argue whether or not that's correct or not, regardless of how that actually looks today in today's society. I think part of it was how we shaped it. We said abortion is a woman's right. We weren't saying that abortions are good or that abortions are bad. And we weren't saying abortions should be legal or abortions should be illegal. So I think that was part of it. And I also think part of what helped all this is that this community is actually fairly good at listening to begin with, and that we actually there's a whole lot already on the base layer, and I was just trying to build on that, and not that this was, there's a whole lot going on, and I was just trying to, throw a little something in there and see what happened. But yeah, I was like very blown away, and I was really impressed with both sides coming out and saying we care about women and we care about children, and this isn't about trying to hurt people, this is about trying to have an honest conversation, which I think is huge, and especially in that issue, but also to humanize everybody, which I think we often don't do.
Hi. Going off of that, I like what you were saying about like having a abortion is a woman's right, like having parameters for a conversation, and how that made it easier for the conversation to happen healthily. So I was wondering what you have learned as like advice to other people about when we don't have those like professional guidelines, how to approach conversation with other people on controversial issues.
Next question. Oh my goodness, I had a great, Stefan and I had a debate right here before the abortion debate about the abortion debate. And I had a great I think, the biggest thing I've learned, and what I would say to anybody, is just shut your mouth and actually listen to their whole point, which I know most of you are sitting there thinking, gee, we should start doing that. I'm trying. But yeah, I think that's like the huge part, and just respecting the fact that like you might know more than that person, but if I walk up and say, yeah, I know more than you, you can tell me what you're thinking, but in the end of the day, I still think you're stupider than I am. So I think being able to respect the other person and be able to say like, hey, they come from somewhere, and they have some reason for what they're thinking. Whether or not I agree with it, that doesn't mean what they're saying is irrelevant. Like, everybody's voice needs to be heard. It needs to be like taken with a grain of salt, but it does need to be heard, and that does need to be, I don't want to say validated, but maybe that's the right word.
What did you learn from like the first topic of legalization of marijuana to like help the groups in the next topic, and then how did it change to be a panel versus a debate? Like what kind of things did you learn along the way?
So I learned that I had to do more. I had to do more facilitating. Part of it, we revamped the questioning so that it was written questions, so that we can actually say, okay, think about your question before you ask it, and we're going to make sure that the same question isn't asked 4 times. So that was part of it. Another part of it was just trying to get the debaters prepped more and having them more time to research and to dialogue with me and dialogue with the moderator. So that was part of it. After the abortion debate, everyone was like really exhausted. Like I remember, like I could barely stand up after that. I was like, okay, this is done, no more. So we went with the panel. I found the panel, that was Joe Mason's suggestion to me back in January, was don't do debates, do a panel, have everyone talking more. And I was like, oh, okay, but we'll see. And we switched to the panel just because it's more laid back, and we were like, it was kind of more like fireside chat style where people were able to sit down and we had to listen to each. There were still time constrictions for everybody, but there was still the opportunity for people to ask questions from the audience and still have written questions. So we designed it to be more natural with still the people that are supposed to know more, hopefully, if they researched right. So, I don't know if that answers your question. You've been sitting there for a while trying to raise.
Oh, me?
No, Rachel, but.
Me, I would say just hearing about your passion for good, honest dialogue, and underneath that passion to bring people together. I'm wondering, based on what you've learned and based on the passion that's been there for a while, how you see this kind of playing out as you finish here, and how you see that passion coming into your life as you go forward. That's the wide
hopefully it's just going to shape how I interact with others, and going back to Ontario and going back to a place I grew up, and I know a lot of people's views and I know a lot of people's opinions, but just trying to be like more receptive to that instead of being like, oh, you're just some crazy person. Like, shh. And trying to actually like listen with them and engage with them and challenge them and have my views challenged, but also to be respectful and like accepting of others, and if that answers your question. Okay, Lois.
So Malcolm, I know from the beginning that the motivation for doing this was to provide an opportunity for us to engage in good quality academic conversations and debates. And so you provided that in these 3 sessions, but do you think that how do we incorporate that better in the classroom and outside the classroom, so we don't have to necessarily just restrict it to evenings that are scheduled and prepared for? How can we build that into the life of the community?
Well, I think looking back on it, I don't know if I would. I like the scheduled evenings personally. I think that it's really important to have kind of like out of class experience with that. I think what I would have done from the get-go, looking back, is gone and met with all the professors and said, hey, what controversial issues are you going to be talking about this month, this semester, and can I incorporate a debate where people get academic credit and they don't have to, there's less work requirements for them, and they can be engaged with this debate on some level. The reason I think that we should be keeping it as like a night is because it takes it out of the classroom and it involves all the community, and especially for like a debate, like there was a lot of hours that both sides put into it, and quite honestly more than I think I've ever put into a paper. So like the amount of effort that took was I think that that's what's needed for it, and I think that you don't necessarily can get that every week in a classroom with the amount of research and collaboration with people. Yeah.
This is more just like a comment actually based on what you said after the abortion debate, because I had missed it but tried to stream it at work. Anyway, but I remember too, just kind of how it is such a good setup is for in classrooms, internal processors just kind of end up sitting back, and this debate, it gives people time to think about it and reflect and be able to talk. And in the end, sometimes it was still more the outgoing external people who ended up speaking, but I think it just it gives people just more time to sit with something, which is why I think it was great to have that long between. But I just remember you had actually mentioned that, so it's more just what you had said earlier.
Malcolm, just to clarify, so I wasn't suggesting that we shouldn't continue to do the debates, but wondering how it could spill over to improve our everyday conversations and our conversations in class. But so maybe to put it in a very specific question, so after the abortion debate, for example, do you have a sense that conversations continued and people that attended the debate but maybe didn't participate in it, were wrestling with one another with their response to the issue?
I hope so. I never actually heard of any conversations. Nobody came and talked to me. That's okay.
I would say it continued to come up, and I think it came up in classes. So
That's awesome. That's kind of actually that's the hope is the debate starts a conversation and people are oh, okay, so I heard them say this and this and this. Oh, okay. We'll go off and talk about that. That's, I guess, yes. Yeah, that would be how that spills over then. Yes. Once, twice, 3 times. Thank you.